The best SD card for your new Sony camera isn't necessarily going to be the fastest or the most expensive. I've done some testing and here are my recommendations for what SD card you should buy for your Sony camera. If you want to have a look at the specifications of your camera, simply go to the Sony website, find the camera that you have. In this case it's an A6500, specifications and features, and then full specifications. Down here what you'll find is what your camera supports in the way of the speed of the memory card, and it's here: recording system and media. Ignoring the memory sticks, let's go for the SDHC memory card, and in this case it's UHS1 compliant, which is a slightly older technology, and that applies for all the mainstream interchangeable lens Sony cameras except for one, which is the A9 that we'll get into after. So here we are, that's the 6500, here is the 6300, again UHS1. Here is the A7R Mark II, again UHS1. The A7S Mark II, you guessed it, UHS1. And of course the A7 Mark II, again UHS1. And even the new 99 Mark II is UHS1. I've tested Lexar cards and I've tested Sony cards. The best one that I have found that works for me is this, the Extreme Pro. I go for 128 gigs in this one. I feel that works best for my workflow. As for price, you're looking around $66, £65, €65, somewhere in that area. I'm sure if you search hard enough you can find one. Just make sure you're not buying a fake one. Look out for that. So this is the SDS DXXG-128G. for this one's 128 gig. That would change if you decide to go smaller, and that works best for me. I did have a Lexar one and I've only ever had one memory card failure, and it was with a Lexar, so that's why I just stick away from them at the moment. I've never had any problems with this. So for me, my personal recommendation, unless you have an A9, is this. Talking of A9s, what do we have here? Slot 1 is UHS2 and slot 2 is UHS1. So in slot 2, simply put in that previous card, this one. But in slot 1, Sony have a new trick up their sleeves in the way of this little beauty. This is the SF-G128. It's not cheap, but I think if you've just splashed out 4.5 big ones on an A9, you may as well reach into that pocket, slap that credit card just a little bit harder and pick up this card for your slot 1. You're looking around $250, £250, €250, but don't really suggest putting in a lesser card in the A9. You may as well put this one in your slot 1. Now there is an alternative, but for the amount of difference that you're paying, the extra $30, you can save $30 so you can grab yourself a McDonald's on the way home and treat your mate. But I think we'll let him go hungry and we'll pick up the Sony card in the Sony camera. Let's keep everything the same. $250, job done. So if you don't have an A9, this is the one you want. And if you are lucky enough to have an A9, you want this little beauty. As usual guys, it's been emotional.